Chat.
Sorry.
This time Nick needs to keep his
Seconds.
clothes on.
Okay, go ahead. Go live and I'll try and figure it out.
We are live, I think. No,
I'm
it's
gonna
setting
mute
up.
myself though in the meantime. I can't
Oh,
hear
I
you
think
guys.
I think we might be live now.
I think we're
I
live.
think we are too.
Guys, tell us if we're live.
Yes, we are live.
We are live. Welcome everyone to our let's see, June 4th. Ask us anything.
Mhm.
We're not very good with dates.
Mm.
Speaking for myself anyway.
Well, I'm coming to you from the future, so it's actually June 5th now. So
You have an excuse.
It's June 5th for Nick too, I believe.
Yeah.
you're muted.
Yes, it
Nick.
is.
Oh,
I
there we
think
go.
I have it figured out
He's,
now.
he's so far in the
Yes.
future, it actually takes time for his voice to travel back to us.
Right.
I
So
I
where in the
actually
world
have it
are you,
mostly
Nick?
figured out. I'm on a cruise ship somewhere in the Mediterranean, so I'm somewhere around Greece. I'm not even sure, to tell you the truth. I couldn't even tell you what today's port stop is, to be honest. I was in Corfu yesterday, and today I am somewhere, and I know the light's flashing, so I'm trying to fix my little handheld light. I don't even have the. It's 4 o'clock in the morning here, so you'll have to excuse me. Like, I got out of bed at 3:45
Wow.
to be able to be here, and just got set up and
Why?
realized I didn't even have everything. Why? I mean, how
Yeah,
can
we
you
weren't
miss
even
and ask us
expecting you.
anything?
Why?
Who misses and asks us anything?
Fair.
Wow.
Props.
That's commitment,
Kudos.
man. 4 a.m. from the middle of international waters, and here you are.
Here I am. Here I am.
Literally
But,
not
Yes.
even sure
floating.
where you are.
Literally and
and
figuratively.
it's good to see you, Nick. It's almost like I haven't seen you for days now, or for about I don't know.
It's been a while.
Nick and I ran into each other at the Grand Hotel Victoria in Lake Como. It was unplanned. I mean, we knew about it in advance, but not when we each individually booked the hotel. Um, we booked it without any plans to be there at the same time, but yet we were. So that was a lot of fun to overlap like that and to get to see your family again. It's been a while.
Yeah, it has been. Yeah, it was great to see you as well, and certainly a fantastic place to do it.
You were on the same floor too, weren't you?
Not only that,
No.
we're not only on the same floor. I came out to my balcony, and the corner is kind of weird, where like you can look from my balcony to the right and see the window of another room just to the right, like feet away, and their balcony is like on the far end. And I looked over and I could see into the room, and I saw some kids playing, and I was like, that looks like like Nick's kids.
That is so funny.
And then Nick came out onto the balcony, on the far balcony,
Oh, that's hilarious.
yeah, we were
It's too funny.
practically roommates in a way, and our room numbers were one off from each other.
One off.
That
Yeah.
is so
yeah.
funny.
Yeah. Who would have known? Who would have thunk it?
Right.
But
That's
What had
awesome.
happened?
So the person who called Nick's or who sent hotel staff up to quiet Nick down was actually you.
That's
Someone's
who
got to
was.
do it.
That's who it was. Hey, listen, if you can quiet my kids down any
Yeah,
any
have
way
at it.
possible, that's all the more power to you.
So Greg, I do have a question. This is your I believe this is you just celebrated an anniversary trip. And part of the way you celebrated was to have a photo shoot with Nick. But how else did you celebrate? What were some highlights from your whirlwind around Europe celebrating your
Yeah.
birthday?
Well, I mean, we mostly we did most of our trip in Lake Como. So we started off. We went to France to a friend's wedding in rural France near Strasbourg, and then we took a train or several trains to get to the Lake Como area and checked in at Grand Hotel Victoria, and it was the most impressive check-in experience I've seen. With one exception, there was this hotel in Baden-Baden, Germany, that had a similarly impressive check-in experience way back when. But just everybody was coming out to greet me, calling us by name, and handing us prosecco. They gave us a tour of the hotel, including the unbelievable spa that the Grand Hotel Victoria has. And meanwhile, someone had whisked our bags off to our room so that by the time they showed us to our room, the bags are already there. And it was really, really impressive. But anyway, so for the rest of the week, we toured around Lake Como. Like, we did stuff each day. We went to Bellagio, and we went to Verena and Tremezzo, and except for that one, we took ferries when we could. Probably the highlight of our time there was actually a picnic that I had pre-booked, where they drove us up a mountain and set up a great picnic of like local meats and cheeses and fruits and things. And there was another couple that had booked the picnic as well. We got along great with them. And so it was just a ton of fun. And the views, if you think Lake Como is beautiful when you're walking around in the little villages around it, check it out from way up above. It was fantastic. So that was probably the highlight. Yeah, and then we ended by spending a night in the Park Hyatt Milan, which is awesome too. And did some things there. Like we did a food tour, which wasn't great. And we did a tour of the Duomo, which of course was pretty good. Duomo's pretty darn impressive. If you've been there, you'll know. And then we capped it all off with Emirates first class flight back to the States. And so that was a pretty darn sweet way to end the trip.
Man, that's
Was
awesome.
that your first? Was that either of your first time on Emirates first?
It was Pam's first time on Emirates first.
Nice.
It was my second, but the first time was when Nick and I did the GUC trip, the global upgrade thing, and we flew from Dubai to Male, I think it was, and that was only like 3.5 hour flight, I think. So it wasn't the full experience. It was still really nice, but with the 9+ hour flight from Italy, we got really the full experience, which was really, really nice. The full catering, though, and the type of plane has onboard shower and everything. So that was all really special. Yeah.
That's awesome. And 9 hours is long enough to actually shower.
I mean, you could argue that 15 minutes might be long enough to shower.
You could argue that, like the person who sets the hot water for you.
Did the showers still have the Greg was here graffiti that you put in there last time?
No, I didn't have a shower last time.
Oh, because it was the wrong plane.
Yeah.
Oh my
Wrong
gosh.
plane.
Yeah.
All right. Well, folks can check out our Instagram if they want to see more videos about that. But I'm going to shuffle us along to some of our viewer questions. So, first question, we're going to start with Tim. What is your favorite all-inclusive you've stayed at? I've been to Punta Cana, but want to try other locations. Do you have a favorite?
Well, in the spirit of the question, my favorite that I've been to so far is probably the Ventana Big Sur in California, which is a Hyatt property. It's a great property. There's all sorts of asterisks about it, but it's a great property in a really cool area. That's kind of my jam in terms of just the kind of what the local flora and fauna is and the type of property it is, and it's pretty cool. In terms of I haven't actually been to I'm guessing the spirit of the question was more like the Mexican Caribbean beach all-inclusives, that I actually haven't been to a ton of those. So the one of the ones that I've been to, which I've literally probably been to maybe 4 or 5 in my life, I have really fond memories of the Hyatt Zilara in Cancun. I remember the food being really good. I remember the beach at that point. That was before Cancun started, or at least we weren't there when there was a seaweed infestation, and it was pretty cool. And so there, the beaches were great, and the rooms were beautiful. Like, and they had both the food and the all included like beverage options were really quite nice and surprising for me because at that point the only all inclusive I'd been to is like the $60 for watered down tequila and reheated refried beans sort of places.
Yeah.
Not that there's anything wrong with that, but so I would say probably that. But in terms of non-beach, it would be I'll leave the Ventana Big Sur for sure.
Cool. Anyone else have any notables to add before we move on?
I mean, we enjoyed Hilton Rose Hall when we went there, like I guess 8 years ago or something like that. That one you can't book with 3 night certificates though, so you'd have to book with points there or do a cash rate. We had done a cash rate. There was some kind of like Thanksgiving Day deal where we managed to get like a rate. It was less than $200 a night for 2 people or something like that. So it was a fantastic deal, which is why we ended up doing that. We just really enjoyed it there. But I imagine that like the Hyatts that they have in Montego Bay would probably be significantly better than that. But yeah, we certainly enjoyed it.
Nice.
And the Hilton
All
Rose
right.
Hall is Jamaica, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Stephen, do you keep the points when you product change Wells Fargo cards? For example, if you product change to the no longer available Visa signature card, can you then use the points for 50% more for airfare?
I'm afraid I'm not at all familiar with Wells Fargo product changes. I don't know if any of the other guys are, but my wife and I randomly got shut down from Wells Fargo a couple of years ago for like not even any shenanigans. And so yeah, I've no idea. I'm afraid anyone else know about that?
Anyone Wells Fargoians?
I do not know.
We'll have to forego the Fargo. All right.
Well done.
Was
That's
was
a
that a
great
pun
dad
from
pun
Carrie
right there,
Yoder? My
Carrie.
You
lord.
Well
guys-
done.
What is this
you
world
guys
coming
are-
to?
Getting me
You
into
get the dad
puns, and I
joke
don't
stamp
like
of approval there.
It's infectious.
it. What's happening?
Once you got your second fur baby, it's all dad jokes from you.
It's all dad jokes. That's right. Tim, all right. Does purchasing gift cards count towards welcome offer spend? Can you say a little bit about that?
Did you say me?
Yes,
No.
Tim.
Normally, yes. And I want to differentiate because they're kind of used interchangeably sometimes from folks that especially folks that are kind of new to the hobby, is that there's two types of gift cards. There's third-party gift cards that are like, you buy a gift card for Best Buy or for Cheesecake Factory or something like that. And then there's Visa and MasterCard gift cards where you buy them and they have a preloaded amount of cash that you then can use for various things. The only bank that I'm aware of that ever had an issue with any that I've heard of there being any sort of significant issues with gift cards is Amex. And that was almost exclusively Visa and MasterCard gift cards and almost exclusively buying from places that obviously sell gift cards. So for instance, with Simon Mall, which is no longer selling gift cards, I know for a while or for a long time now, they haven't been giving any points or counting Simon Mall spend when you're buying Simon Mall gift cards or when you're buying gift cards from Simon Mall. I believe that there's some other stuff like maybe gift card mall or something. Stephen would probably actually remember better.
Yeah, it's the ones run by Incom. So it's the gift
Yeah.
card shop, amexgiftcard.com, mastercardgiftcard.com, and vanillagift.com. None of those, in theory, earn points with Amex, although there was a data point recently where someone did earn on their Hilton card with them, but that seems to be the exception rather than the rule for those particular sites. But yeah, I mean, I've met quite a few Amex sign-up bonuses when buying gift cards, although that was more third-party gift cards rather than Visa and MasterCard gift cards. So yeah, I would just be particularly careful about not doing things in $505.95 increments or $506.95 or however much the purchase fees are at your local grocery store if that's how you're going to be doing it. But yeah, for the most part, it seems to be pretty safe.
All right.
And the reason you say that is because most of the grocery stores will have the largest denomination is a $500 card, and then there'll be a
Hmm.
purchase fee added on, and so it can look
Yeah.
that amount can look suspicious.
Mhm.
I think the thing also is like your spend pattern, and that's what Steven's speaking to there, right? Like, when people ask this question, I'm always a little divided because I think some of the fear is way overblown because if you're spending $500 to $1,000 on groceries, I think very few issuers would ever bat an eye at that, unless it's in that exact increment, like Steven said. But on the flip side, if you get a card with a $10,000 spending requirement, you spend 10 grand the first day at the grocery store, that might raise an eyebrow, possibly, I guess. So, but I think a few hundred or $1,000 here or there is probably pretty unlikely to catch any sort of heat unless it's from one of those few sites that Stephen mentioned with Amex specifically. Beyond that, I think people are concerned there. But the flip side of that is I don't want to look over my shoulder either. Like I don't want to buy something that if I can't meet the spending requirement otherwise, then okay. But if I have other options to meet the spending requirement, then I'll pursue some of those other options so that I'm not like, oh, are they going to claw back those points? I don't want to be looking over my shoulder for that if I can avoid it.
Yeah. I think that seems like a good start to that thought anyway. So I think that we'll kick off to Nick. Um, let's see. Actually, no, Stephen. How can you tell what resort fees IHG will charge when booking award stays?
So in theory, IHG doesn't actually waive resort fees on award stays, but they do sometimes. And so really, I would go into it assuming that they will charge you fees, but just kind of count yourself lucky if they don't. Because we had a stay, it was Staybridge Suites in Orlando. I think it was like Royale Park or something like that. It was meant to have some kind of resort fee. I forget exactly how much, like 20 or 30 bucks a night or something. So we assumed that we would end up paying that, but then when we checked out, that wasn't charged at all, even though it was specifically listed when we were making the reservation. It's listed on their website that that's something that you pay, but we didn't. Whereas there have been like one or two other IHG properties we've stayed at before, and they have charged a resort fee. So yeah, just assume that they will charge, and then count yourself lucky if they don't. I feel like Kimpton Seafire, is that one that does charge a resort fee? Because
It
I think I've
does.
seen
Yeah.
people mention that as being one before where you have to pay that if you're booking with points or fee night
Yeah.
certificates.
Although one thing to notice is like the Seafire has two resort fees if they still do it the way they used to. One is like 10% of your room charge, and the other is $75 a day or whatever it is. The 10% one doesn't cost anything because if you're booking with points, it's 10% of nothing. So you're just paying the fixed part of it, not the percentage.
And is there a way to find out what that is ahead of time?
Well, yeah, it shows you on the
Okay.
screen when you're booking it.
So that part
Before
is
you
up front.
confirm.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, Nick. Thoughts on changes to Amex BizPlat Dell credit? Number one, using buying groups for $1,000 of credit. Or number two, thoughts for the future, meaning more discounts instead of one-to-one. I don't understand any of that. So if you could explain as you answer.
All right. So the business platinum card has had a credit for Dell purchases for years, and it's actually been twice a year now for the last couple of years. Well, it's always been twice a year, but it's $200 twice a year. So $200 between January and June, and it was $200 between July and December, though that's ending with this current set of credits. So this last credit, I guess, is good through June 30th. And then after that, they're switching to a different model. Instead of that $200 back when you spend $200 or more, it's going to be you get $1,000 back after you spend $5,000. Am I right on that, everybody? Yeah. Okay. So my thought on that was that it was kind of a bummer. It stinks. I didn't like that as much because I preferred just getting $200 of free stuff. I put that in quotation marks because you're paying the annual fees. It's not really free. You're just kind of getting your $200 back. And even then, it doesn't even really feel like getting my full $200 back because I'm buying overpriced stuff from Dell that I don't really want or need anymore. So the change, at first, I didn't like it at all because I don't really want $200 worth of stuff from Dell anymore. So I don't really want $5,000 worth of stuff from Dell. But it's true that there are buying groups where you can, get some of that back and end up profiting some on that. And if you're involved in that and you're comfortable with that and you're good with whatever time and effort that takes, then yeah, it may certainly help the card pay for itself. My thought on that is great if it works for you. I had kind of gotten out of reselling electronics for the most part because I always had issues with that. Not with buying groups, doing it on my own, I'm talking about. With buying groups, it seems like there would be much less risk in the one hand because you're shipping it off to the buying group. But I haven't dealt with buying groups with my Dell credits up to this point. So I don't have a ton of firsthand experience there. So if somebody else on the team wants to hop in on this, by all means, hop in on whatever you think about
Any hoppers?
buying groups for the Dell credits.
Yeah, I mean, I do a fair amount of Dell buying and reselling, which Nick already knew, which is why he was throwing this softball.
I was throwing the softball out there. I was waiting for you to swing, and you didn't look like you were going to take a swing at that.
Yeah, because it's important to have a poker face with these things.
Okay, good.
So yeah, I do a fair amount. I think but I don't know that there's really anything to add to what Nick says outside of the fact that, and I know that for some people, Dell is super tricky in terms of they can't get orders through, they can't get stuff shipped. I have both my wife and my accounts it's very easy, but I always ship to my home. And I have buying groups where even though I pay tax on that shipment, the buying groups, normally there's enough orders. There's quite a few orders throughout the year that if you combine like shopping portal returns like Rakuten or Capital One Shopping that will go up to 15, 20x on Dell sometimes, combined with the profit that you make from the actual sale, combined with the points that you're getting on whatever card that you're using to pay for that, it can be a pretty nice haul. And so like the idea, it would be pretty easy for me to do $5,000 in a year on a card or two, maybe more. And
so are you going to do that?
20% back, it would be pretty sweet. Yeah. I mean, unless Dell shuts me down, and that could always be a thing. I mean, I will try. But
I'm leaning in the same direction. I haven't yet, but because this new credit isn't there yet. But with the new credit coming, I mean, yeah, it could end up helping the card pay for itself. So I'm certainly leaning in that direction.
No. Well, and then you throw into like Amex. I mean, there's so many Amex offers from Dell that you throw those into, and I mean, it can be a nice buying group opportunity.
All right. Bullish on Dell. Okay, Greg. Does anyone know what to expect with United JetBlue partnership? I'm moving from Houston to Boston this fall and ready to divorce Southwest. Relatable.
I mean, all we know is what's been publicized, which is that we should be able to do things like redeem JetBlue points to fly United and redeem United points to fly JetBlue. There should be some there's some elite someone could say that word for me.
Reciprocity.
Reciprocity. I don't know why I can't come up with say that word. Anyway, but it's pretty limited, like with being able to like pick seats and so avoid a few fees here and there. But it didn't seem like it was too exciting what you get out of that.
Yeah.
But if you're in, I think if you're into either one of those programs, United or JetBlue, then it's nice to have that extra, the extra flights available to you within that sort of like overall network of things. So since you're going to Boston, you'll have a lot of JetBlue flights out of there, and that should be a good choice for you, I would think.
Yeah.
Cool.
And if you Google like JetBlue United Blue Sky, on each of their websites, they have pages set up to explain what you can expect benefit-wise in terms of reciprocal benefits and things like that. So on the JetBlue website, it shows like if you have mosaic status, what you can expect to get on United flights and vice versa. If you have Premier status with United, then what you can expect to get on JetBlue flights. So there are tables on both of those if you already, I'm assuming you don't have status already if you've been like primarily focusing on Southwest, but yeah, that's there like to check it out. We don't know yet about the mileage, earning and burning and things like that, but status wise, we do.
Yeah. And also one other thing, you should look into whether the JetBlue business card or JetBlue Premier card makes sense for you. They're both pretty good deals at $99 annual fee. They automatically give you 5,000 points every year, so that helps offset that fee. And they also give you 10% back when you redeem points. Like you instantly get those 10% points back, I believe. Yeah, that could be a good addition to your lineup there.
Sounds like
I
we're all
have
in favor of divorcing Southwest.
I have a quick follow-up for Greg really quickly. United isn't known for being terribly generous with their partner award space, or with their award space with partners, rather, I should say.
Right.
What is your gut tell you? What is your Greg the Frequent Miler gut tell you about both if redeeming JetBlue points for United will be a good value, and whether or not United will actually make any sort of, significant space available for JetBlue?
Um, yeah. Uh, to the second one, my guess is no, that I think they'll provide the same amount of award space that they do to all their partners, which is to say not very much. I hope I'm wrong. Like it seems to be the Alaskan American um, partnership is a good example where American seems to release more award space to Alaska than they do to other partners, as far as I can tell, which is really nice. So will United do the same? I doubt it. As to whether it would be a good deal, um, I don't think it's likely to be a particularly good, like great deal, but what's really nice is being able to book a single, when you're booking an award with one or the other, being able to book a single award that includes both airlines, so you can get all the way from your origin to your destination in one ticket, I think is really nice and can help with you know, checking bags and just if things go wrong, having someone care about it
Mhm.
besides you.
Yeah. Great. Perfect. We're gonna move on to another all play. What do you guys do? And we'll start with Tim. What do you guys do when you have an overwhelming amount of airline miles, but not enough hotel points?
We should do a challenge about this sometime.
Hmm.
That
Sounds
would be
challenging.
really good. That would be a really good idea. This is something that I think is a really big issue for a lot of and I shouldn't say that. I think it's a different issue for different people. Like, so for, when I go on vacation on points and miles, like let's say if I'm going to take a 7-night vacation and only use 100,000 points, for instance, um, which is our new annual challenge coming up. But no, I mean, like so my wife and I only need to buy 2 tickets for a week. Or I guess 4 total, 2 there and 2 on the way back. I need to have 7 nights of points or 7 award stay or hotel stays. Now, Nick, on the other hand, when he has a week vacation, he has to book 4 flights there, 4 flights back, and only 7 nights of hotel stays. So for Nick, airline miles are very, 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 very valuable because he has to book a lot of tickets. I don't. And so for me, what I always find myself looking for more of is hotel points. And the bummer about the way points and miles interact with hotels is that not a lot of the transferable currencies are great transfer options because the transfer ratios aren't such that you're actually getting good values for your transferable points. That's part of kind of what we're doing on this annual challenge that's coming up, is just trying to show how there are good values to be had with some of these transferable currencies with lodging. But so I think that's a really big, or that's kind of just a quandary that makes Chase nice, because transferring to Hyatt is actually a really nice value for hotel points. Whereas if you transfer your points to IHG, whose points are worth about a third of Chase, but has the same transfer ratio, it doesn't it doesn't work out well in terms of using your transferable points. But in terms of what I do, that actually affects my earning a lot. Like almost all of my non-bonus spending or non-welcome offer spending is spent on city, primarily because for a couple of reasons, a couple of which I won't talk about right now. But one of the reasons is there's a lot of really good lodging options to be had with city. And I'm actually reaching a kind of a weird spot with Marriott where it's really hard to earn Marriott points well. And I just spent a ton on this safari that we're taking this summer. And I'm down to like 80,000, 100,000 Marriott points or something like that, which isn't a lot for me. And I'm looking at this saying, gosh, I don't know, transferring the points aren't valuable like to transfer. So it's not usually a very good opportunity to transfer to Marriott. And Marriott's card rules make it difficult once you've kind of gone through and earned a bunch of welcome offers. It makes it really difficult to kind of keep earning Marriott points. So I'm kind of at this weird kind of standstill with Marriott where I'm like, gosh, I don't really, I need to develop a strategy for it. But so all that to say, I tend to think much more in my earning now on where I can get good value for lodging, because I find myself needing that more than I'd need airline miles. Now, I'd be interested to hear Nick's view specifically, because Nick has to book double the amount of airline tickets that I do wherever I go. So Nick might have very different ideas about that.
But maybe sometimes double the rooms also, depending on where you're going, right?
It's true.
Well,
I mean, we're doing, yeah, because we do travel with family sometimes, but no, I mean, Tim's right. I mean, there's definitely a big difference there. Airline miles are much more important to me because we are usually traveling with a lot of people, even if it's just my immediate family. So, yeah, my first reaction to this is if I don't have a lot of hotel points, then I'm looking for the best deal I can possibly get on paying cash for a hotel room, because if I just don't have a lot of hotel points, there's not a magic wand I can wave to all of a sudden have a good option there. Instead, I'm looking at, okay, is there card linked offers? Is there a shopping portal? What are the current monthly or current quarterly, whatever, hotel promotions? Am I registered for all of those? And what's the best deal I can stack to get a great price on a hotel? And so my perspective on the hotel points has long been that I always liked to travel, and in most places I can find a hotel that I can afford. And I say most places because like the Maldives is an exception where maybe I could afford it, but it's going to be much more than what I would normally pay. But if if I'm going to go to Paris or Rome or New York or Los Angeles or Orlando, there's going to be a hotel in my price range somewhere. So it's a matter of just stacking the best possible deal on that. So that would be like my first instinct in response to this, is look for the best deals you can stack on paying for a hotel. But then beyond that, the other things that come to mind are certainly what Tim said. There are some okay transfer options sometimes. I mean, maybe transferring to a Wyndham or for a Vacasa vacation rental or something would make sense. Although buying hotel points is probably your next best strategy to say, okay, well, when are Hilton and IHG points on sale? And can I use those sales to get a hotel I want to stay at more affordably? That would certainly be another strategy going after that, or other shopping portal earnings. Now, I know Capital One Shopping recently pulled a whole bunch of gift card redemptions, but then I also saw a message. Now I'm on vacation, so I'm way out of the loop here, but I saw a comment come in at some point in the last few hours that a bunch of those are back. So I don't know if hotels.com is back, but I've got my fingers crossed that maybe they are. Even when everything went away, though, Expedia, like the Expedia hotel card thing, I can't even remember what
Global
it's
Hotel,
called.
something or other, yeah. It's
What's
like
that?
a global hotel card by
Global hotel
Expedia or
card. There you
something.
go.
Yeah.
Yeah. that's been a redemption option, and the Capital One shopping portal has very frequently had fantastic payouts for me. So I've redeemed several $1,000s in hotels.com gift cards already, and I've got a bunch more credit there still waiting to be used. So that's kind of my backup bank of hotel points, sort of, is my Capital One shopping cash back that I've been redeeming hotels.com gift cards for, and or would redeem for the global hotel card to cover some stays. So those are at least a couple of my thoughts. Those are the first things that come to mind
And
beyond what Tim
I'll
said.
just add one other thing, which is it's often the case that the best hotels or lodging for where you want to go is not a points hotel anyway. And so if you think about like optimizing, you know, for what you actually want to do and where you actually want to stay, it might be that a cash alternative is actually a better fit for what kind of vacation or trip you're trying to take.
Do any of you
Yeah.
guys earn, like, do you keep I know some people keep a kind of they earn some cash back and keep that in a slush fund to pay for hotels as a way to kind of address that issue. Do any of you guys do that?
I don't
Maybe slush
necessarily
fund
do
is the wrong
that.
word.
No.
However, like if I were in a situation where, okay, well, I want to travel more or more comfortably than I would normally be, willing to pay for, then I'd be looking to earn, yeah, actually, like earn some cash back bonuses, whether that's from credit cards or like checking account bonuses. There's been years where my wife and I have collectively earned five, six, $7,000 in checking account bonuses. So that would be another way that I would earn either cash for the hotel stays or cash to buy the points.
Yeah. And what Nick was talking about before with the
Bless you.
Capital One shopping hotel gift cards, the hotels.com or Expedia hotels gift cards. I was just thinking earlier today, it's kind of funny that this came up, but I was thinking of just cashing out all of my Capital One shopping for one of those cards and then using that as my hotel slush fund, basically. And I think that would be nice to have because then it would still feel free because you're using this thing that otherwise doesn't have value outside of booking hotels. And
And
so I kind of like that approach.
and in addition to what everyone else has said, like a few other suggestions, consider the credits that you have. So if you've got like Amex Fine Hotels and Resorts credits, take a look to see, because even though there might be a hotel that would be more expensive than you would normally pay, if your $200 credit's going to go to waste, then paying like $100 or $200 out of pocket on top of that $200 might still be a better deal than you'd get through other means. Similar kind of thing with if you have like a Venture X card or with Capital One, and you've got a $300 credit each year, that can only be redeemed when going through their travel portal. And so if you haven't got any other need for using that, booking hotels that way with this credit that would otherwise potentially go to waste is another option. Yeah, Nick had mentioned about buying points. So I bought a ton of IHG points before just because we get such good value from those over the last few years. With Airbnb, for the last several months, when Amex added the $20 a month credit on the business gold card that can be used at office supply stores, I've just been buying $25 Airbnb gift cards on those cards from staples.com, because it online the third-party gift cards code as Staples rather than it being a third-party processor or anything like that. So I've just been stocking up on Airbnb gift cards because I know that eventually we'll end up wanting to stay in Airbnbs and things like that. And so that's just the easiest use of using up that $20 credit. So there's a few like additional ways that you can end up getting some value. And Capital One shopping as well, they come out with some ridiculously high rates for hotel programs. Like Hilton's often like 30-35%. Choice I've been getting offers for 20%, IHG 15 to 20%, Best Western like 20 to 30% or something like that. Yeah, now that they've like devalued the redemption options, it's not quite so great, but even so, it's still hard to beat 30% on like a Hilton stay or something like that. So that on top of earning like up to like what 30-40 points per dollar or something like that, or oftentimes if you have an Aspire card and you pay with that, you can just get a super rewarding stay that way. So just be sure to check all the terms and conditions, because like with the Hilton option, it's only valid on like 6 to 10 of their brands or something like that. And there's a whole bunch of excluded ones, so you won't necessarily earn like 30% on all of them. But yeah, that's just some other ways to save and earn.
Nice. That's a lot of really great ideas. Follow-up question. A lot of you guys talked about Capital One shopping. Can you just remind me, is that the Chrome plugin or is that the in-account offers that you're talking about?
That's the browser plugin where you don't need a Capital One card to
Okay.
use it.
Okay, so each of you, when you mentioned Capital One offers, that's what you're talking about.
Capital One shopping.
Capital One
Capital One
shopping.
Capital One
shopping. That's what I
shopping.
said. Capital One shopping because
All right.
Capital One offers is different, Karen.
Yeah,
Oh, that's
obviously.
I will say
Come on,
if
Carrie.
anybody is
What about shopping
anyone is-
offers?
if anyone is just getting into it, do take a look at Nick's post about Capital One shopping they've removed a lot of really useful options for most people. Or for a lot of people, I should say. And so
Yeah.
just take a look at that. If you're starting from zero,
Mm.
take a look at what you have
Good warning.
options for before you start investing in it, because their trajectory has not been to add a bunch of really good options. It's been removing really good options.
Really good point.
And like
Yeah.
right now, I'm sitting literally the only two things that I have left that have any value are Expedia and StubHub. And I've got like thousands of dollars of credit with Capital One. So
Yeah, that's a bummer. That's a bummer.
which, I mean,
yeah,
you know,
and
it's whatever I can
I
do it, but you know, like I'm already there, so that's fine, whatever I can get out. But in terms of like if I was gonna start trying to use something, I think it bears
Yeah.
looking at what you have on option, what your redemption options for before you start getting really big to Capital One shopping.
Yeah, and I saw that comment come in a couple hours ago that said that a bunch of the good options are back, and I'm looking at mine and I'm not seeing that
Yeah, I don't see 'em
right
either.
now in mine.
Yeah.
But but it may vary because we have seen it vary in terms of which gift card options are available
It
to which
seems
people,
pretty
which is
clear
so
from
weird.
the comments that have been coming in that it varies from person to
Yeah.
person, which is interesting.
So weird.
So this might be related, maybe not. I'm gonna skip ahead. We'll bounce back to the question I had lined up for you guys because this relates to Capital One. And Nick, I think it's your turn. What do you think about the lounge changes that are coming to Capital One? Is that related even remotely or no?
It's not, and I think that it happened while I was on vacation. I saw a couple of the emails on this, but I have not followed this because
All right,
I've
let's
been
give it
on
to
vacation mode. So I'm gonna
Steven.
punt this one.
I might have skipped you anyway, I think. So Steven, let's go back to you.
So yeah, the changes are on VentureX personal cards. In the past, you could add up to 4 additional card holders, and they would get the ability to go into airport lounges, so as Priority Pass, Capital One lounges, and Capital One landings, which I'm not particularly familiar with the landing side of things. But yeah, from February 1st next year, those additional card holders aren't going to be able to get lounge access for free. Instead, they would have to pay a $125 fee per year in order to get that access. Similarly, you used to be able to bring a couple of guests in with you to those lounges. That's going to be going away. You're going to have to spend $75,000 a year on your card if you want to be able to retain that ability. For VentureX business card holders, in the past, you weren't able to get lounge access when adding additional card holders. That was only on the personal card, but going forward, that's still going to be the policy. But your additional card holders can pay $125 a year as well in order to get that access. And similar to the personal card, you're not going to be able to guest people into the lounges unless you spend $75,000 on your card in a year. So yeah, it's some pretty negative changes for people who have those cards. And so yeah, there's been a lot of feedback on the post about people being super disappointed, which is completely understandable. So especially when it comes to guesting, because if you only have one VentureX card in your household and you travel with your spouse, it now means that they won't be able to come into the lounge with you unless they pay, I think it's like $35 a time or something like that. So the fact that they're completely cutting off all guesting ability unless you hit that high spend threshold is like a big bummer.
Yeah, that stinks. I would not want to have to sit out access as a player too. All right, Greg, this one is for you. I plan to start funding a 529 for my wife's law school payments. I will be mixing in purchases of the $500 gift to college cards. I'm worried about clawbacks. Do you know of any data points for clawbacks?
Um, Not sure what. Does anyone know why they'd be worried about clawbacks for this? I
Well,
don't
because people
understand.
I'm
worry about
guess
gift card purchases.
yeah, that's what I'm assuming is if they're like, because it might be that they're buying from HEB or somewhere that has like the $500 ones in store for bonus spend.
But I
Is it?
agree. I think that there's
Mhm.
no reason to be concerned.
So it
I
sounds
I
share
like
don't.
just
Greg's
a
lack
Yeah.
of any concern at all about that.
Yeah, I wouldn't be worried at all about it at all. So yeah, I mean, clawbacks. I guess that's clawbacks on points earned from
Mhm.
your
Yeah.
credit card you're talking about.
Right.
But
Think so.
even if that happened, you still have the $500 gift card that went to the 529. It's not like you've lost that much. But no, I don't think clawbacks are likely from buying uh,
gift to
yeah,
college.
gift cards at a grocery store
All right,
or
cool.
wherever it is you're buying.
Mhm.
All right. So this one, Greg, I'm going to start you off on this one, but maybe we'll all kind of touch on it a little bit. This relates to our challenge, which I wanted to talk about a little bit anyway. So as you answer this, maybe summarize the challenge we just announced as well. This person wants to know why not let someone use chase points on the upcoming challenge since it was the 100K form from getting the Sapphire Preferred. So, can you explain a bit about what our challenge is and then why this person's asking that and why we're not doing that?
Sure. So this year's challenge is going to kick off in the fall, and you can check out the blog to see the details of it. But the basics are that each contestant is going to have 100,000 transferable points to build the greatest vacation they can, and the Sapphire Preferred 100K offer was a thing that made us think of this. And we're calling it 100K vacay. So 100,000 point vacation. Um, and the idea is this, that that Carrie and I are going to be judges and the other three guys are going to be the contestants. But I'm also going to set a benchmark trip. I'm going to use chase points to do a trip before the other three guys travel where the idea is like, here's what I can do with 100,000 chase points. Now let's see if you guys can beat me with your other types of points. So we've got one person with city points, another person with amex points, and the third with Capital One miles. And all of them have their strengths and weaknesses, but we wanted to use Chase as the benchmark because the way the challenge is constructed is that you have to spend at least 3 nights in hotels, and we feel like having the ability to transfer to Hyatt is a huge advantage for that situation because Hyatt has their award chart. They've got some really nice hotels at the low end of the award chart, so it's possible to stay in a really nice hotel in some cases for very few points. Um, and if you don't have that, trying to get a whole vacation in for 100,000 points. I mean, just think if you tried to stay at a Marriott that costs 35,000 points for 3 nights, you've used up all of your points and you can't get to the hotel. So, so that's why like we think that Hyatt is such a big deal. So yeah, so we are using chase points. It's just the it's for the benchmark trip, not the competitors.
And I think the reason not to let the other competitors use it is because like we want these challenges to be hard. So Greg is explaining how this is like gonna be really difficult for them to beat his benchmark trip, but that's the whole point. That's what makes it a challenge is, use these points that are thought of as way more difficult for lodging, but see if you can actually discover something new and kind of impress us with.
Yeah, it was also kind of a sneaky way to get like all four of the major transferable points currencies into one challenge.
It wouldn't be as interesting if we all just like stayed at a category 2 Hyatt somewhere for 3 nights and
Right.
flew there. I think it'd be a boring challenge. It'd be more boring to watch, I think, if that were the case. I think it'd be more exciting, like everybody's kind of saying here, with us having the different types of things to highlight because different people
Right.
have different points, right? Not everybody's got the same kind of points. So I think it's worth showing, hey, this is what you can do if you pick up that new 100K bonus on whichever card is offered by whichever bank.
Yeah.
There-
And I'm hoping we'll see some like really creative, ideas like, oh my gosh, here's a way to use, I don't know, Turkish miles to book a hotel or here's a way to, book a flight that includes by having a layover in a particular place includes free hotels. Those kind of things could show some real great creativity and maybe we'll learn something new from all that. That's the hope.
Yeah.
So Nick and Tim, I'm curious, have you guys booked much of your trip yet? Or do
Well,
you at least have in mind what you're planning on doing, or what's the score?
I have some ideas. I have some bookings.
I figured that's why
Um,
you weren't gonna discuss some of your city
no,
thoughts.
no, no. There's
No, yeah.
there's some alternative advantages to city stuff that's not. But yeah, no, I'm not. Yeah, totally. I have some bookings.
I don't
And
have any
right.
bookings yet.
Yeah,
You know what? I figured.
yeah. Nick's gonna
He's
be.
gonna
It's
be
gonna be
flying by the
like.
seat of his
Yeah.
But in fairness, I think I know what I'm going to do. It's just it requires some time and effort that I haven't been able to put into it these last couple of weeks because I've been on vacation here. So I was up late last night while everybody was asleep, like on my phone trying to calculate some things and whatnot. So
You
I'm
don't
working on
sound
it.
very
I'm
on
working on it.
vacation. You don't look very on
Well,
vacation.
I'm thinking about it. There's no doubt I'm thinking about it. So, but I don't have anything booked yet.
How about you, Stephen?
I have much of my stuff booked. So
Oh.
Wow, look
I
at
I
you.
think I do have my flights booked, and I have most of my hotel nights booked.
Man, you're just gonna be twiddling your thumbs
Wow.
for months.
So
Crazy.
yeah, so yeah, like
And
I
he
came
still
I
has
came up with
99,000 points left to use.
I came up with like this concept for my trip that I'm very excited about. So I
I
feel
love
like
that.
it's going to be very interesting. So like activity wise, I feel like it's going to be a much more interesting challenge for me especially because I'm going to have energy on this which is amazing because the last few challenges I've either been sick or I've been coming off the back of like other trips or like it was coming to like the very last one that was coming we were at the end of our 7 year 50 state road trip and stuff. We were like 1 month from the end and then like jetting off all around the world on all these economy flights. I had zero energy to actually go and do any activities like Nick had done and things like that. So yeah, I'm looking forward to this one because I'll be much more well rested. So yeah, this should be a good one.
Man,
Very
watch
good.
out,
I'm
world.
super excited too because I'm like, wow, you could actually do a lot with 100,000 points. Digging
Yeah.
into some things. I'm like, oh wow, there's some really
It,
the world is
it,
your
it
oyster
yeah,
with
it's
100,000
challenging,
points.
but it's also amazing, like quite what you can like achieve with it as well. Like I've been surprised by what I can actually get done with my Capital One miles.
I'm
So you
So
guys are
interested in
not
Stephen,
that.
scared
on it
off
now
by the
that
height?
you have your trip booked, your pepper prowess will be on full display. So on a scale of 1 to 10, how confident are you that you're going to beat Nick and I? And
I
then on a scale of 1 to 10, part B is how confident are you that you're going to make Greg look bad even though he has chase points?
it's trick. I feel like trip wise, Greg will like in terms of like flights and accommodation with what he has to play with Chase. I feel like particularly with accommodation, I think he's probably going to do better than me. However, in terms of an overall trip and what I'm going to be incorporating, I'm hoping that mine will, as an overall vacation, will be more impressive and people will like enjoy what I've put together. In terms of beating you guys, it's so like I'm very happy with what I have planned, but I know that you guys are both going to knock it out of the park too. And so it is really tough because I was so confident with Million Mile Madness that I was going to do really well, that I was going to be like super fast, and that I was going to like come in like well under budget compared to you guys. And Greg like finished what 2, 3 days ahead of me. So um in terms of like time wise, and so yeah, there's just no knowing with these challenges, just because like everyone always just pulls something out that's incredible. So but yeah, I think that I feel like this is gonna be one of the most entertaining ones that we've done,
Mm.
just because we'll be able to showcase not only the flights and the accommodation, but also activities, because it's going to be a vacation as well. So yeah, I think it's going to be a really good one.
All right. Like this video if you're already starting to
Oh yeah.
make guesses about what you think Steven is going to be doing. And like this video if you're already guessing who you think is going to win this challenge. Um, and then we're going to have to say goodbye so YouTube doesn't cut us off. So that's all for now. And we'll see you guys the first Wednesday of July, as usual. Cool.
Sounds